In 2016, a new kind of money-making system began to spread across Nigeria. It promised something most people had never heard before: a 30% return on any money in just 30 days. This system was called Nigeria, and in a few short months, it became a national phenomenon. People joined in their millions: workers, students, business owners, and even professionals. It spread to churches, marketplaces, and even WhatsApp groups. The excitement was everywhere. The excitement of a quick return on investment. To many Nigerians struggling through an economic recession, looked like a lifeline. The promise was simple: you could help someone today and be helped tomorrow. It did not claim to be an investment. It claimed to be a community of people supporting each other financially. Within a year, the scheme had gone beyond imagination. But not long after, it came crashing down, leaving behind stories of loss, pain, and disbelief. This is the story of how began, how it spread across Nigeria, and how it eventually collapsed, taking with it the trust of a nation. Was not a Nigerian creation. The story began in Russia. In 1989, three people, Sergey Mavrodi, Vyacheslav Mavrodi, and Olga Menikova, founded a company and named it using the first letters of their surnames. At first, it operated like a normal trading firm, but by the early 1990s, it had transformed into one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history. Millions of Russians invested their savings, drawn by promises of massive profit. In 1994, the Russian authorities uncovered the scam. The company collapsed, leaving millions of people broke. Sergey Mavrodi was arrested and later imprisoned. And after his release, he rebranded into what he called Global, claiming it was now a mutual aid network rather than an investment company. He used the internet and social media to rebuild it, this time targeting developing nations. Between 2011 and 2015, operations appeared in countries like South Africa, China, Zimbabwe, and India. Each followed the same pattern of fast growth, public excitement, and eventual collapse. In November 2015, the network arrived in Nigeria. Nigeria at that time was going through a difficult period. Oil prices had fallen sharply, causing a nationwide recession. Inflation was high, jobs were scarce, and many small businesses were struggling to stay afloat. Banks offered interest with low rates, and trust in financial institutions was weak. For many Nigerians, formal investment seemed slow and inaccessible. came with a different message. It said it was not a company, not an investment, but a community of people helping each other. Its slogan was "Provide help, get help." It promised 30% growth on whatever you contributed in 30 days. To a population looking for relief, this sounded not only believable but fair. The system quickly gained popularity across cities and rural communities. Operated through a peer-to-peer model. Participants registered online and pledged a certain amount of money. The system would then match them with others who needed help. When a participant provided help, the money went directly to another participant. In return, the giver was promised a 30% increase, which they could withdraw after 30 days. This process appeared transparent. People received emails and dashboard updates confirming their transactions. There were also bonuses for referrals and for keeping money longer in the system. In its early months, delivered as promised. People received payments, they shared testimonies, and even encouraged more people to join. Social media played a major role. WhatsApp and Facebook were filled with screenshots of successful transactions. Local meetings and training sessions were organized across the country. By mid-2016, Nigeria had become one of the most discussed topics online. it was reported that more than 2 million Nigerians had registered. The scheme presented itself as an alternative to the traditional banking system, often criticizing banks for exploiting the poor. This anti-banking system appealed to many people who felt excluded from formal finance. As MMM's popularity grew, MMM popularity continued to grow. Warnings began to emerge. The Central Bank of Nigeria, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and even the National Assembly raised concerns. Authorities cautioned that MMM was a Ponzi scheme, meaning that old participants were being paid with the contributions of new ones. They explained that such systems will eventually collapse when the number of new participants slowed down. But for many Nigerians already earning profit, these warnings were ignored. The early payouts gave MMM strong credibility. In communities, people defended the scheme, claiming it was different because it was people helping people. The warnings from the media were seen as fear-mongering. By October 2016, MMM had become so large that it began to resemble a national financial movement. People used their salaries, savings, and even borrowed money to participate. On December 13, 2016, everything changed. MMM Nigeria suddenly announced that all accounts had been frozen. No participants could withdraw funds. The platform explained that the freeze was temporary, claiming it was a pause to control panic and stabilize the system. The timing was devastating. It happened just days before Christmas, a period when many people were hoping to withdraw their money for the holidays. Panic spread quickly. Online forums were filled with confusion and anger. Participants flooded MMM social media pages with complaints. Some tried to reassure others that the system would return in January as promised, but many had already lost confidence. In January 2017, MMM Nigeria announced that it had reopened, that the system was back in full operations. But things were no longer the same. Withdrawals were delayed. Participants couldn't access their funds, and the queue of pending payments grew longer every day. Soon, it became clear that there was no money left to circulate. The number of new participants had dropped sharply, and the system was not able to sustain the payments. Within weeks, MMM Nigeria had effectively collapsed. Analysts later estimated that Nigerians lost over 18 billion naira in the process. The exact figure was difficult to verify, but the scale of the damage was clear. After MMM collapsed, its impact was visible everywhere. Many people lost their life savings, others fell into debt after borrowing money to invest. In certain cases, individuals faced depression or family conflicts over lost funds. Almost immediately, new schemes like Ultimate Cycler, Twin Cars, and Givers Forum began to appear, promising even higher returns using the same language of community help. And despite the loss to MMM, many people who were desperate to recover their losses still fell victim to this scheme. The Nigerian government then increased awareness campaigns to educate citizens about financial scams, but the appetite for quick returns remained high. Several factors explain why MMM succeeded in Nigeria. The economic recession created widespread hardship, making people more willing to take risks. The promise of a 30% return in 1 month sounded like a solution to daily struggles. Words of mouth played a powerful role. When people saw their friends or relatives receiving payments, they believed it was real. MMM also used psychological tactics effectively by calling itself a mutual aid community instead of an investment. It avoided the appearance of greed. Participants felt like they were part of something bigger, more like a financial revolution. At the center of it all was Sergey Mavrodi. To his followers, Mavrodi was not just a businessman, but a visionary. He claimed MMM was a social movement designed to challenge global inequality and corruption in banking. He published essays defending the system, arguing that it was not fraud, but a fight for economic fairness and freedom. However, investigations across multiple countries showed that the system had no real investment base. All payments came from new participants. Mavrodi continued to defend MMM until his death in 2018 in Moscow. Even after his death, Some loyal followers around the world continue trying to revive versions of the system under new names. Nigeria remained one of the most significant financial scams in the country's history. It revealed how quickly misinformation and desperation can combine to create mass deception. It also showed how economic hardship can make people vulnerable to financial fraud. Regulators learned lessons too. The government strengthened monitoring of online investment platforms and increased public education campaigns on Ponzi schemes. But despite these measures, similar schemes continue to emerge, often under different names, using digital tools and even cryptocurrency as new funds. Nigeria was not just a Ponzi scheme, it was a national event that tested the boundaries of trust and desperation. It rose in a time of economic uncertainty and promised what many longed to hear, that wealth could come easily and quickly. For a brief moment, millions believed it, but when it collapsed, it left behind a trail of loss and regret. Today, the name stands as a warning, a reminder that when something seems too good to be true, it usually is. It remains one of the most memorable financial collapses in Nigeria's modern history, marking the point where hope turned into heartbreak and teaching a hard lesson about trust in times of desperation. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.